What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Hustling Sideways podcast. I'm Alan Halas. I'm a music writer.
And I'm Jim Love, and I'm a keynote and motivational speaker.
And this is episode number 117 of the Hustling Sideways podcast. Jim, we used to make the joke that we were, a year for every episode number that we have. I don't know. I haven't looked up the oldest person alive, but I'm assuming that we are probably past that point now that we are at 117 episodes deep.
Yeah, there's probably a deathbed in there somewhere, I would imagine. So yeah, I think we're getting really morbid around these parts, and let's just focus on not the age anymore. That's where my head is at.
I like that. That's a good plan. And so we will do that, especially because today we are calling all the way out to New Hampshire, and we got something sweet on our plates for this one today, Jim. We have a maple syrup maker. Who do we have with us today?
Yes, we have one of my favorite coworkers and someone who I just found out does this on the side. But we have Chrisi Goodwin, who is an implementation superhero, and on the side is a sugar maker. So let's talk to Chrisi and Anastasia and find out a little bit more about that.
Thank you very much. We're really happy to be here. I have my daughter Anastasia with me tonight. She helps us a lot, so she's going to participate in this podcast.
There we go. And possibly the youngest guest that we've had on Hustling Sideways.
That's fantastic.
So we're setting records today.
That's right. Anastasia, welcome.
Well, you guys obviously know each other quite a bit, but I don't know your background at all. Tell us kind of how you, I guess, got up to this point in your professional career.
Sure. So professionally, I have been in the contingent workforce space for most of my career. So without dating myself too much, which I ultimately will be doing, I started in about 2000. So I've been in it for quite a long time, and worked my way through the different pieces and parts of the entire industry. And now, like Jim said, I work with him very closely on the implementation side for projects, and have been with this current company now for almost 2 years.
Okay. Very cool. And then, of course, there's the sugar side of things, which is what we're here to talk about today. I guess, where does that all originate for you? Because I don't feel like that's like the conventional side hustle like we've had,
Sure. So I'll give you a little bit of background about sugaring. So when we talk about being sugar makers or sugaring, we're specifically referring to the production of maple syrup. And in the New England area where I'm from, we live in New Hampshire, it's a relatively big industry. It's not quite as big as Vermont. Vermont is really the leader in the United States for maple syrup. I mean, people always think about Vermont-made maple syrup.
Mm-hmm.
But we're right next door. So we have a lot of the same vegetation and topography. So it's natural that it sort of leaks over into New Hampshire, right? We have been sugar makers for about 6 or 7 years. Our first real season was in 2019. And it really all came from my husband. So my husband, his name is John Gray. He had been helping other sugar makers since he was a kid, doing really a lot of the grunt work, going out in the woods, tapping the trees, collecting the syrup, doing all of the stuff that it's a very labor-intensive project.
Mm-hmm.
So when we bought our home in Bosquen, New Hampshire in 2016, he started looking around and was like, hey, you know what? We got a lot of maple trees here. You want to try to cap some trees? I was like, oh yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Like, let's give it a try. So he bought this rando barrel evaporator off of some guy on Facebook Marketplace.
Right.
And set it up in our driveway with a tarp over it. And sugaring season is in the spring. So the spring in New England is cold, it's wet, it's muddy. It's just not the most pleasant time of year. So we collected a couple 100 gallons of sap, and he sat out in the driveway for hours, boiling down the sap on this little barrel evaporator. And I went out and I was like, hey, how's it going? He's like, this sucks.
Okay.
He's like, I love doing this, but this isn't going to cut it. Like, I don't know what to do here. And I said, well, do you like really want to do it? Like, make this a thing?
Mhm.
He's like, do you want to? I'm like, yeah, like, let's go for it. So we ended up going to Jamaica Cottage Shop, which is it's like a prefabricated, well, it's not all prefabricated. They do sell like plans and stuff where you can get like sugar houses and sheds and little tiny homes and all of these things. So we went there and we found what we thought would be a really cool sugar house. So we like I did any of the work. He and his buddies built the sugar house, and we ordered an evaporator and just took it from there. Like it's grown. So that's how we got from maybe this would be a cool idea to we have a sugar house, we have an evaporator, like we are actually doing this.
Yeah. That's very interesting to me because you were like sometimes like we've talked to a lot of people on this show where they start to sell something or they start to make something and it catches on and it gets a little business and then they kind of go all in on it. And in this case, it seems like you guys weren't even at the point where you were like, we're going to make this and sell this or do whatever we want with it. It was like you guys were just headfirst into the pool on that.
Yeah, you know what? That's a really good observation because when we first started, we didn't really think that this was going to go anywhere. We thought, hey, we'll do it for our family, our friends, maybe sell a jug or two here or there, but we'll see. So we had to name the sugar house. So we came up with the name of Ice Mountain Maple. And the reason we call it Ice Mountain Maple is because we live on the very top of a hill here in our town. And our driveway is kind of windy and very steep and long. And our family would joke with us that it was Ice Mountain because everybody would get stuck in the driveway in the winters and they couldn't come up. And I was like, oh, how about Ice Mountain Maples? Oh, okay, that's kind of silly. Nobody's going to really get it or catch on to it. And I started a little Facebook page and just started posting pictures and, hey, we're boiling and, things along those lines. And Maple Weekend of 2020 rolled around. So keep in mind, we had only played around with it really for about a season. And of course, it was the height of the pandemic. People were scared to go out. So nobody was really celebrating Maple Weekend. And I didn't think anybody would stop by our place because we're not real. Like, we're just silly.
Right.
We had probably 10 or 15 people stop by and say, hey, we saw your sugar house. We just wanted to see what you guys were doing. I was like, well, nothing, but thanks for stopping by. Well, every year since then, Maple Weekend has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. So we started with, maybe 100 people come through the door in 2021, and then 200,
wow,
300, 400. This year, I don't know how many people to expect. And what I can sort of link it back to is I just put an invite out or an event out on Facebook. I'm not into, crazy marketing or websites. I just say, hey, Maple Weekend, Ice Mountain Maple. And last year we had 200 people respond to the event. This year I'm already pushing 450 people.
Oh my
goodness.
And
Maple Weekend is still three weeks away. So it's sort of just built up around itself where we have all of these people in town that have interest. We've had people come from other states saying, we heard about your sugar house. We heard about the cool things that you guys make. And so we wanted to come check it out. So it's really, it's humbling, but we're incredibly proud and just absolutely blown away at the success that we've had with what we just started off with in this little crazy barrel evaporator in our driveway.
Yeah, that is unreal to see the growth of that. I'm going to ask a question as a naive Midwesterner here. So Maple Weekend, What happens there? Is it just everybody just celebrates maple syrup? or is it like the
So
like
that's
peak
that's
weekend? Like what goes on? Is there a
yeah.
parade?
Yes, a really great question, Alan, because when you're in the thick of it, and Jim and I know this just from our profession together, you forget that other people don't know what you're talking about. Oh, it's this thing, and you're like, oh yeah, I probably should explain that. So we belong to the New Hampshire Maple Producers Association, which I'm sure you've never heard of in your entire
I
life.
cannot say I'm a card
Um,
carrying member at all. No. Yeah, right.
yes, I'm sure. I'm sure. Um, And New Hampshire celebrates Maple Month in March because March is really the peak of maple season. Maple season is relegated to Mother Nature. So it comes after a cold, cold winter, and then things start to warm up. So the sap starts flowing through the tree. And it needs to be 20s at night, 40s in the day. That's like perfect sugaring weather.
Right. Okay.
And that's when you see your large runs. And so that's why March, that's when you see those temperatures most often, is maple month. And some sugar houses open every weekend for the whole month. There's a lot of bigger sugar houses in New Hampshire that do, the whole month. But Maple Weekend is specific to any sugar house that belongs to the New Hampshire Maple Producers Association that wants to open up their sugar house to the public. And it's publicized around the state. So it's in newspapers and it's on the internet and it's on Facebook, and there's all kinds of, hoopla, I guess, about people wanting to go out and visit sugar houses. And it's a very New England oriented thing. So it's sort of part of the whole experience of being in New Hampshire and getting out and supporting local businesses.
Wow. Okay. I don't know what we would even compare that to here in like our area. I know that there's like a strawberry festival in Wisconsin. Basically.
We could actually join forces with the bratwurst, because my husband's like, oh, we should do maple brats one maple weekend, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a great idea.
There's an idea. All right, we're gonna figure it out. Jim and I are gonna have to get on our side of things. Yeah, we're gonna have to produce bratwurst on our side of things. We'll figure that part out, and then like maybe we've just launched a whole new thing right here. You
Yeah.
heard it here
Oh
first.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. So with the Maple Weekend, because I'm going to come back to that,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
the only time that those are, I mean, that month is the only time that everything's open. Do you guys like produce stuff in fall too when it's kind of like starting to get cold?
We don't. We are just during the spring. I don't know that our schedules would support anything else, but there are some sugar makers that take advantage of the 40s in the day, 20s at night for the fall, but not a ton. It's primarily in the spring. We have approximately 500 to 700 taps right now, and that means physical taps in trees. But we just procured a lease with a property owner to where over the next couple of years we're going to be expanding to about 2,000 taps.
Oh my goodness.
So we're really getting a much larger quantity of trees and the opportunity to make a lot more syrup. So fun fact, it takes approximately 40 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of syrup. So it's quite a process. It really depends on the sugar content of the sap. So once we get it out of the tree, whether it's through tubing or just on a bucket, which we don't have a lot of buckets, you have to pump that from the main tank to the tank that we carried up to the sugar house, and we pump it from that tank up into the sugar house, and then the boiling starts. And people say, oh, maple syrup is so expensive. Well, it's a lot of work. It is a lot of physical labor, and a lot of science, which is kind of cool if you like to get into contents and grades and all of that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, and I would assume that is where the rest of the family comes in and helps out.
Yeah, absolutely. So my daughter Anastasia, she's 11. She's in 6th grade this year. She helps a lot with tapping the trees, collecting the sap, and then keeps us company while we're boiling. So my husband does most of the labor, and she hangs out in the sugar house with us, and she's a good little helper. She also participates in every year. I go to the first grade class at the local elementary school and talk about maple syrup and how it's made and the history, and kind of get the kids excited about wanting to try it and talk to their parents about it and just really introduce them to it if they had never seen that kind of thing before. She helps me with that. So she helps pass out samples and tools that the kids can look at. So it's a fun thing that we do together.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's a lot that I like to do. I personally like tapping trees, and occasionally I'll help like make maple candies. Like sometimes we do that. We like make stuff. Like some like even occasionally like maple sugar. Like maple hard candies. I really like making those.
Well, that is exciting that is your part. Are you the person are you recruiting classmates at this point to help them tap trees?
Not yet, but I mean, I guess they could.
I'm interested in, you guys expanded so quickly. And you said really it was only just because of Facebook that, you had a couple posts on Facebook that had gotten you guys to this point.
Mm-hmm.
When did you kind of notice that the traction was very real over on Facebook for you guys?
I would say when our page started to get hundreds and hundreds of likes and follows. And I don't do a ton on Facebook personally. It's a lot of it's focused towards Ice Mountain Maple, but I ended up joining a lot of local community groups where the individual towns have their own community pages on Facebook, and that's where I share the events and what's going on. And the more groups that I joined, the more participation and hits that my page was getting in my posts, and then it further increased the traffic that's coming through the sugar house on Maple weekend. I would also say that word of mouth, because we're such a small community, has really made a huge impact in the amount of people that reach out and actually come to visit us. One thing that we make that really no other sugar house offers is maple coffee, which it kind of sounds really simple, but we had never seen it anywhere else. So what we do is we just use, one of those big brewer pots that you'd see in a cafeteria, for example. And instead of using water, we use partially boiled sap and just like regular ground coffee. And it tastes so, so good. And we give it away for free. And the people come and just like, we came for the maple coffee. We're here for the maple coffee. We saw it online. We heard a friend talk about it. We've never had it before. Like, we really want to try it. I have some people in town that when they see me, they're like, oh, we can't wait for maple season. Are you going to have the maple coffee? I'm like, yes, we are going to have the maple coffee. And so it was really just very, very organic in the way that it grew. And I really give a lot of credit to just our community and the people of our town and the surrounding areas.
Yeah, and I would think that that's something that's so focused at home first, right? Like it is a spirit to of an older business of, like, you think back in the day when this person was a leather maker, this person was a whatever, the milkman, whatever. Like, you just supported the people around you because they were the people in your neighborhood, kind of thing. And what you're doing kind of has a tip of the cap to that without even trying. It's just kind of like very authentic to be like, here you go, this is what we're doing, if anybody wants to come out. And it seems like the response has been amazing so far.
Yeah, it really has. In fact, this year we're expanding our product line just a little bit, because it's really just the three of us that do the lion's share of the work. So we have maple cream, which if you've never had is delicious. It's just maple syrup cooked and then cooled and stirred, so it just becomes like spreadable maple syrup, which is so good. Our maple candy, of course, our syrup, maple fudge, and this year I'm introducing maple chocolates. So I got these really, really cute, like maple molds, maple leaf molds, and it's dark chocolate with maple cream, and it's absolutely delicious. So I'm going to do a few test runs and see how people like it, and then hopefully it'll be something that really catches on. So it's fun. We enjoy it. It does not feel like work. It feels like we're we're doing something fun. It's satisfying, and it's a really great opportunity.
And actually, Chrissy, you brought up something like, because this has gone so fast to being, something that just sort of popped up in the driveway to large. And I was just like curious, has it felt like work, or is it truly fun? And is there ever going to be a moment like, let's say it does switch to being more of like a task? Like, do you will that be the day that you rethink doing it, or are you really centered on it being a very fun thing that the whole family's involved in, or have you thought about that? Like, as this grows and continues to grow,
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good question, Jim. So we have talked about it because the the volume of work can feel overwhelming sometimes because, we both have lives outside of Ice Mountain Maple. And it's, there's still work to be done that doesn't involve the sugar house. And when spring comes around, like I said, it's very labor intensive. And so we have had conversations in the past like, can we do it this year? Do we have the capacity to get out there and do all of this physical work? Because like I said, it's the majority is us. My husband does the big stuff. And we do have some friends and family that pitch in. They absolutely are a lifesaver, but we do most of it ourselves. So we have had that conversation like, if it becomes a chore, if we're dreading maple season, if it's not something that is giving us pleasure and fulfilling that sort of itch, then we absolutely would rethink it. Because I got to tell you, like, it's it's not a place where you're gonna, fund your child's college 4 years.
Hmm.
I mean, there's a joke within the sugaring community that is, if you want to become a millionaire as a sugar maker, you need to start with $1 million because it's just, it's not, it's expensive to make, and you're just not gonna, you're not gonna be bringing in the profit. So it really is a labor of love, and quite frankly, it's kind of an addiction. Once you start, you're just like, how can I get more taps? How can I make more syrup? And then during the season, you're like, oh my God, I have too much to do. And then at the end of the season, you go, I need more taps. I need more equipment.
Because you
I
just
need
want
more
to keep
syrup.
going.
keep going,
Yeah.
yeah, don't stop, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's the most
Yeah.
gratifying part of all of this for you, whether it be
Mhm.
personal, professional? Like, what really drives this and gratifies you in the process? And that could be a question for Anastasia as well. I'm curious about both your responses to that.
Yeah, you want to answer that first? What's most gratifying to you?
Wait, can you define gratifying?
Sure. What gives you the greatest pleasure and makes you feel the best and proud at the end of the day?
Honestly, it's just like getting things done, like especially with like the thing that we mentioned earlier, going to the local elementary school and like going to see the students. Like I make someone like glad for like oh the maple coffee's so good, oh the maple syrup is so good that I like make people feel good with whatever I do with like the maple sugar or anything.
That's
That's
great.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to echo that, and I would say the final product. When on our evaporator we have an automatic draw off, which means when the syrup reaches the correct temperature, it's just going to draw off by itself. And my husband and I will sit in front of the thermometer watching it, waiting for it to hit the right temp so we can see the syrup come off the evaporator, and just seeing that final product and like, we made this. Like, we tapped the tree, we boiled it, we created this amazing, delicious, versatile product that people actually want to come to my house and buy. I'm like, that's just crazy to me. And just like, it's a really, it's fulfilling. I think that's the best word that I can come up with, is that it's a fulfilling experience.
Very cool. Well, you guys have all these things that you make, like you said, the maple coffee is part of it. Not only the syrup itself, but all these different other like concoctions and things. So what is the research and development like for that? Because if you can only,
Mhm.
take advantage of like the temperature's got to be right, like are you spending the year going, okay, like what if we try to maple whatever this year, like a maple, I don't know, name something that you would make. But like do you spend
Yep.
time brainstorming that? And then I guess how long do you get to test that before like it's maple season, you got to go?
Yeah, so that again, a good question because like I had mentioned before, our little operation is very organic. So there isn't, an official R&D. We're the
Right.
R&D where we come up with an idea like, "Oh, wow, that sounds good. Should we try it?" And then and to your point, the trial and error is we make it and we try it and then we go, "Would someone buy this? If they would buy it, how much do you think they would pay for it? And do I have the capacity to make this in bulk?"
Mm-hmm.
And then I make like the maple chocolates, for example. My family's the guinea pig. So I'll make a batch and we'll go to like, a family dinner or whatever. And I'm like, okay, cousins, aunts and uncles, taste this and see what you think. And then I say, okay, if you walked into a sugar house, you didn't know it was mine, how much would you expect to pay for such a thing? And just kind of get their feedback. So we try to do things that people will really like, that aren't complicated. And it's really important to us to continue with that pure New Hampshire maple syrup theme. So I want to keep it clean. I don't want a lot of crazy ingredients. I want it very, you know, very natural as far as like my fudge is maple syrup, heavy cream, butter, and a pinch of salt. That's it. Like I want a short ingredient list. I want it to be easy to make, delicious, and something that someone's going to really enjoy as a treat when they come to our sugar house.
That's so cool. um do you get sick of maple? That is, I think, the $1 million question here is, do you get sick of trying stuff, like, or is there somebody in your family that's just like, oh my god, if I eat another maple chocolate, like I'm done?
That's me. That's me.
That's you?
There it is.
Yeah, I think she's probably the only one. Um, I eat maple syrup every single day, and I'm not even kidding. Um, we have we have a bottle of it in our refrigerator constantly. Oh, we have a little friend.
Oh,
That's Almond, one of our kitties. Um, oh, and I put it on my breakfast every day. I put it in my oatmeal. I put it in my yogurt. I put it in my coffee. I put it in everything. So yeah, I don't get sick of it.
wow. I mean, it is, according to Buddy the Elf, it is one of the four major food
That's
groups.
right.
So I
Yeah.
mean, on that alone, like I would assume, but every day is a lot of maple syrup. But you know what? I commend it, and honestly, if I had that supply around,
I would
probably
do the
would
same
get some.
thing. Yeah, let's be real. Yeah.
Yeah, the maple cream, I'll tell you something. The maple cream is absolutely delicious. If you take a nice toasted homemade English muffin, put a little bit of peanut butter and a little bit of maple cream,
Oh my
it'll
goodness.
change your life.
I'm so hungry right now.
It'll
Like
change your life.
this is like
Jim's gonna just go. We're taping this at night, but Jim's gonna go and like make like a stack of pancakes right after this. Yeah. Speaking of that, I guess, can you? I don't know. Can you ship like out of state, out of city? Have you had to
Yes.
explore those options already?
Yeah, in fact, I have shipped to California, Seattle, Washington, Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, and
Texas?
Texas. Yes, Texas.
Wow. All right, Jim, you heard it. Wisconsin wasn't on that list yet. We gotta take care of that.
absolutely. Yeah.
From that sense, I guess, where do you want to take things? Do you ever see that as like something in the foreseeable future of like doing business online and selling and sending out and things like this?
I think that is definitely a future goal. And the reason I hesitate slightly is because in order to sustain an online business, we would have to have the volume of product. And before we could have the volume of product, we need to expand our taps. And so while 2,000 sounds like a lot, the big sugar makers have tens of thousands of
Oh my
taps,
goodness.
some of them even hundreds of thousands of taps. And they're boiling on these enormous evaporators, and they're churning out so much maple syrup we could never make in 10 seasons in one season.
Wow.
So if we were able to get to a place where we had all 2,000 taps producing good quality sap, and we were able to get that amount of syrup where we could comfortably say we have this amount that we could have online sales, then absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, though, we do produce about 50 to 55 gallons a season.
Okay.
And it keeps going up each season because we got a new evaporator a couple seasons ago. It's much more efficient than the one we had before. And with the added taps, where if someone isn't actually coming to our sugar house to purchase the syrup, then they usually just reach out to me on Facebook and, hey, do you have any syrup available? And to whomever it is, I'll just go ahead and ship it out. So it's still sort of in that very infant stage where it's a lot of just personal touch and not an actual like online order.
Mm-hmm. But there's a purity in that too, which is really cool. So I like that you have that still going about it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's a sugar term either, that there's a purity about it, but like there's a purity about like just reaching out to you individually and being like, hey, I would like to get, some syrup. How do we go about that? And just coordinating from there. That's so cool. But if people do want to connect with you, find you guys, where I would assume Facebook is the place.
Yeah, so Facebook is the very best place to reach out and connect with me. Again, we're Ice Mountain Maple, and we're located in Boscawen, New Hampshire. And I post as we get closer to maple season and actually tapping the trees. I'm posting more often now, and I always have my messenger up and open for Ice Mountain Maple. So if someone wanted to reach out and find out more about what we do, our product, or order one of our products, that would be fantastic. Absolutely reach out anytime.
Thank you for coming on the show and doing this. We are also the Hustling Sideways podcast. Wherever you get your podcasts, if you want to search for that, you can find us. If this is your first time or your 117th time listening to us, thank you for doing that. We are on all the social media as well, the Hustling Sideways podcast, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, all the places. Just look for us. We're there. If you want to be a guest on this podcast, you can send us an email. It is hustlingsideways@gmail.com. And Jim,
Keep on hustling.
we'll see you next week.
Peace.